At the end of the year, and we have a article by Lawdragon, John Ryan, who's been covering the Guantanamo trial very intensely, along with Carol Rosenberg of New York Times. I think she's the best. John Ryan, Lawdragon, these guys are doing a great job over there. Let's get right to it. Appellate court denies rescission of 9/11 plea deals. That means that the Guantanamo Bay Judge McCall, has finally rejected Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's and the prosecution's recursion of the original uh, plea agreement, which was to uh, make a deal with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and Mustafa Al-Hassawi and Wali bin Attash, also known as Khalid, in taking the death penalty off the table for their guilty pleas to all the charges involved with the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. Earlier on in the fall, under Biden's authority, Secretary Austin actually went before the Guantanamo court and tried to intervene on his own behalf under the Department of Defense, suggesting that the deal be taken off, and he sent was an emissary to the court. And then McCall said, I'll hear what they have to say, and then made his decision yesterday. His article is dated to December 3rd, yesterday's, okay? The appellate court for the military commissions has rejected a government effort to stop the accused mastermind in 9/11 attacks and pleading guilty next week on Guantanamo Bay. Now, if you'll remember, um, some years back, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed wanted to be given the death penalty, and he spoke on behalf of the other defendants. The other defendants were Amr al-Baluchi and Ramzi bin al-Shib. Part of this plea agreement um, is just for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Mustafa al-Hassawi, and Tawfiq bin Attash. It's a lot. Amr al-Baluchi is not part of this plea deal, and Ramzi bin al-Shib was declared mentally unfit to stand trial. So he's also not part of this plea agreement. And I think also too, the reason why the Guantanamo Bay judge sided with the defense here is because there's a lot of pressure on the State Department to get this out of the way, and the Biden administration is coming to an end, and this is how he wants to be remembered, which it's going to be remembered for a lot more disastrous decisions he made, including the worst pick in vice president history, which is the most unpopular vice president history, Kamala Harris, but also, 4 wars and, a disastrous 4 years in administration that went against every progressive value, while the progressives were behind him because he had a black woman as a vice president. So much for that. And the three-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Military Commissions Review, also known as the UCMCR, agreed with the 9/11 case judge Air Force Matthew McCall that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin could not legally withdraw from the plea agreement that the official he appointed to oversee the court reached with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 co-defendants this summer. The 21-page ruling by the CMCR means that the guilty pleas by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Wali bin Attash Khalid, and Mustafa Al-Hassawi will go forward in the month-long hearing scheduled to start January 6th, at least for now. Guess what happens on January 6th? I think it's January 6th. Donald Trump is sworn in. Is it January 6th? Or was it the first, second? Well, I'm going to cheat. And when is Trump sworn in? I'm going to take a look. Just bear with me for a moment. Happy New Year, everybody. Trump sworn in 2025, and that's going to be on January 20th. Sorry, I was what? January 20th. So this will be under the Biden administration. These will be the last things that Biden will be remembered for. Now, whether you agree that this deal should be made or not, just remember this too. I wish we can get a trial, because I think, you all know my thoughts on this is that if they plead guilty, that means there's no trial. That means we will never see in the next 30, 40 years down the line, when we can, see whatever they had as evidence, and most importantly, what they didn't have. Because if all they had was these coerced confessions, that means they had nothing. Now, if you really want to basically fill in the blanks, okay, some of them, not all of them, pre-intelligence. So the reason why I spent the last 16 years studying pre-intelligence and other things related to 9/11, because in order to go forwards, we have to go backwards, just like any detective does. This is the reason why I preach ad nauseum to anybody who's watching me, followers or not, um, to basically do your due diligence. You have to be honest. Leave your divisions aside, your prejudices aside. You'll never get anywhere. If you're only going to look at evidence that shows that Israel's behind 9/11, you're only going to look at people like Christopher Bowling, Rebecca Roth, Loose Change, whatever, right? Jim Fetzer. These guys are going to lead you down a dead end. I wish it was as simple as these truthers make it out to be, like I always say. I wouldn't be pulling every hair out of my head. But it takes patience and it takes time and it takes a lot of reading. I mean, I'm not telling you to go overboard like I have done. This is part of my life. But you don't have to go that far to understand, certain aspects of 9/11 that are not known to you and or not reported to you. Okay. But you have to go at this alone. I'm not asking you to be a follower of mine. I'm not asking you to buy anything from me. And what I do is for free. And basically, what I want is self-rewarding as it is. I want power back in the hands of the people. If you think anything I said was wrong, you can always comment. I like to be corrected. I'm corrected every so often. I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert at this. I'm a student just like everybody else. Because you're always learning something about 9/11. The prosecution can still pursue a writ of mandamus to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. District Court, which hears appeals from the Guantanamo Commissions. Now, I'm going to say that this is a done deal. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to be hearing guilty pleas from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And then after him comes Mustafa Hassawi and Tawfiq bin Attash. Okay. Challenges to D.C. court rulings go to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Office of the Chief Prosecutor did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The court's convening authority, Susan Escalier, signed plea deals with 3 of the 4 remaining 9/11 defendants on July 31st. Following about 2 years of negotiations managed by the case lead prosecutor, Clay Tribute. McCall served a 5th defendant, Ramzi Bedashib, from the case. Severed a 5th defendant, Ramzi Bedashib, from the case in September 2023 after finding he was not mentally competent to assist in his own defense. Now, again, I think, there's a lot of pressure on Guantanamo to basically the trial judge to basically, force this issue, because what the defense could do is basically say, all right, the prosecution wants to keep going. We're going to declare mental competency tests for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Tawfiq bin Attash, and Mustafa Al-Hassawi. And guess what? They're going to be found mentally unfit to stand trial. Then we can't have a trial. And then, can they really be charged with anything serious? With the plea deals underway, they could say they're mentally competent to understand what's in front of them, because they have to ask them, do you understand by pleading guilty, you're this and that? That's mentally competent test. But yeah. Under the terms of the deals, Mohammed bin Attash and Hassawi agreed to admit to their alleged roles in 9/11 attacks in exchange for the removal of that penalty as a sentencing option. Like I said before, even if Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is the mastermind of 9/11, if Mustafa Hassawi was indeed a financier of the operation, if Tawfiq bin Attash was a alleged facilitator of the operation in the USS Cole bombing, even if they all told the truth, we're still going to have that bit of doubt in our head because they were tortured. Makes me wonder if that's the real reason behind all this. According to the CIA, they tortured these guys to try to get information about next attacks. It's already come out in the courts that the CIA didn't care about the 9/11 attacks, about information. I wonder why. Maybe it's because it'll peel back what they were here doing before the 9/11 attacks, which was running a legal operation with Saudi intelligence and trying to pursue Khalid Al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi as double agents for Al-Qaeda and the CIA. And they failed. But still, there's a lot of people can get in trouble, including Director of Operations and the DCI himself. But as long as you don't believe in hijackers, hijack planes, none of this matters, right? To all you so-called truthers out there. The nerve of you to try and have me on board. knowing full well who I know you commiserate with. One person I'll give a pass to because I really respect his activism, even still to this day, even though I think his beliefs with 9/11 are uh, irresponsible. But I will always respect his heart because I think that anyone who travels from Pennsylvania to New York, for a week on the 9/11 week and does street activism will always get respect from me, always in that regards. But you know who you are, and you know that I do not respect who you commiserate with. Do not. I will never ever side with these people. Never. And as long as they, propose no hijackers or hijack planes, no plane crash at Pentagon Shanks, why would I lower myself to join with you? Because I'm not here to persuade people to look into the fringe elements of 9/11. I'm here to give information only without prejudice because I actually believe in justice, believe it or not. Someone as pessimistic as me, because I have to believe. What else am I in this for? Not in this for money or fame. I lost my original channel, tact, building a new one. And all I do is basically report the news as is, ad nauseum. Now, for those who donate me to, on Substack, I am humbled, but I never beg. I may ask every 6 months. If you want to, go ahead. If not, so fine. I don't think I'm that important enough where I do that much anyway to begin with to ask for money. News of the deals immediately drew both praise and intense opposition. Lloyd Austin attempted to revoke the original agreements in memorandum to Escalier on August 2nd, but McCall sided with the defense teams in a ruling on November 6th, concluding that Austin lacked the authority to terminate the deals reached by the subordinate he appointed, which is Escalier. McCall noted that the three defendants had begun performance under the agreements by signing stipulations admitting to the alleged crimes and by declining to examine witnesses and otherwise participate in the pending pretrial motions. This is the reason why McCall had to side with the defense. It's because they were already in the motions of under the agreement to the plea deals in early this summer. One defendant, Amar Bellucci, did not reach a plea deal. He is still seeking the suppression of confessions he gave to the FBI on Guantanamo Bay in early 2007, following his transfer from CIA black site. Our hopes hang on this. Amar al-Bellucci, the nephew of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Our hopes hang on him that they keep going. The appellate panel agreed with McCall's reasoning when denying the government's request for a writ of mandamus on December 30th. The judge concluded that Austin could take authority for approving any future plea deals, but could not revoke existing agreements because the respondents had started performance on them. That means they're already underway. Can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. The panel stated that the government did not meet the clear and indisputable test set by guidance case law in seeking the extraordinary relief of writ to reverse McCall's decision on the plea agreements. McCall told the parties during the November hearing that he wanted to hear Mohammed's guilty plea this week of January 6th, with Binatash and al-Hassawi to possibly follow up during the second week. So we're going to start off 2025 with a bang. The judge plans to hear all arguments on the suppression case for al-Bellucci during the second half of January's testimony after the guilty pleas. In long-running dispute over the inadmissibility of statements given to the FBI concluded in November, the FBI went to Guantanamo Bay in 2007 and interviewed all these people. And they basically were telling them what the CIA either programmed them to say through torture or that they really did plan 9/11. We're not to know anything. We could believe whatever. That's a thing, right? Knowledge is power. That's why my channel exists. My channel exists for the sole reason of trying to give power to the hands of the people, back in the hands of the people. What is power? Information. As is. Not belief, not speculation, not fringe conspiracy theories. information, information which can land people in court for crimes that exist in the past or present. Can't go to court and say George Bush did 9/11. That's what the truth movement actually believes. And for years, Alex Jones and Jim Fetzer and all these other crackpots with the no planes at the Pentagon at Shanksville, you've all been saying this for years. Israel did 9/11. Bush did 9/11. Who cares what you think? Go to court. You got the guts for it? You got the evidence for it? I can tell you right now, Richard Gage doesn't, because he's actually making a movie based on a fictional courtroom with fictional evidence. Got a sting, doesn't it? All right, look, Happy New Year. All right, and I will always report without bias and prejudice to you and to basically any type of news breaking story. You're going to hear it first from me. And please be safe out there. Happy New Year. See you in the next video.